this stripper was, I'd say, manifesting the symptoms of that more than any I'd ever seen. Again, she showers me with affection and things of that nature. And again, because I'm so physically attracted to her, and I'd built this relationship in my mind over the years up. I'm getting drawn into it to some extent, although I did still hold on to some of my rules. I didn't, it's not like I said, all right, let's get married right now. I didn't do any of that. I did hold on to some things. I broke a few rules that I won't break again, or I certainly hope I do not. I'm determined not to. I have the intention not to, and I've realized some of these concepts internally or internalized them. But anyway, I got caught up in it, and there was at one point I had stayed over at her house, and we'd been together for almost probably around 36 hours at this point. We had gone out the night before. We came back home that night, and we stayed together the next day. I told her I would take her to work because she doesn't drive, mind you, doesn't have a license. That's another story. But I told her I would take her to work, so I stuck around. She ended up not going home, or she ended up deciding she wanted to stay home, not go to work. And so we stayed together that day and pretty much sat around and watched TV all day. But I started to get frustrated because she was showing me very, very little attention. And I eventually decided to say something about it. And I said, why don't I just get out of here? It doesn't seem like you necessarily want me to be here. Um, when I'm around somebody, I want them to feel good, that type of thing. And this is a woman who'd been showering me with affection. We had been intimate. She's telling me she loves me. Again, I'm taking all that with, even without being 100% sold on being a man going my own way, I still took that like, okay, all right, that's great. Um, she completely turned into a different person. I'd never seen anything this extreme before. When I had been what I had thought was a pleasant, um, giving man to be around, and I'm, I can say I'm fairly attractive. Sexually, I'm somewhat experienced, perhaps more than you know, you're. I don't know. I'm sexually experienced, and I focus on women's pleasure generally before I get mine. I certainly usually perform oral sex beforehand, getting them attempting to help them get to or close to orgasm. So, I think that I'm fun to be around. I'm a good guy. I'm considerate, compassionate, and she turned into a completely different person. Like I'd never seen anything like that when I'd given so much to someone in terms of attempting to make them, you know, feel better or have a happy day. Like I recognize I can't make someone feel anything, but I certainly tried to help create an environment that they could focus on that perhaps they could generate feelings that were better. And she completely turned on me, became an absolute bitch after I said, hey, why don't I get out of here? And lectured me and that type of thing about how I need to not be so serious and you know laugh everything off and whatever. Anyway, so that for me was the last straw. I said, you know what? All women are fucked up. Um, they're incapable of having a a beneficial relationship for a man. Ultimately the man will suffer and be a slave essentially. And I felt myself starting to become a slave because again, this woman is physically so attractive to me that I've withdrawn from relationships and dating, engaging women romantically. And now that I've really been listening to Stardust a lot, for instance, and other gentlemen, reading. And again, I've been doing this for more than just a month, but it's really solidified recently that this is the best alternative, you know, or the best option in terms of how I should live. Uh, Man, you know, and I've heard Stardust, you know, say that, you know, the day he realized this stuff, it was one of the saddest days of his life, or saddest moments, and you know, I haven't been overly down, and you know, I'm optimistic at this point by nature. Well, again, that's probably the wrong term, but it's like second nature to me to be optimistic. I always look for the bright side of things. I always try to reframe things into a positive, but at this point, I'm just having to accept things as they are, you know. I mean, because I've been that way for so long that I have to stop continuing to do the same thing and expect different results, because I've continually had the same results to varying degrees with women, in terms of it just doesn't add up with all that you're putting in, and it almost always ends in frustration, you know, and that's the mild version. Usually, tremendous stress, you know. And the other thing is too, it's like, particularly in the seduction community, it's always you're always thinking about it, you know, and it's always you know, you have no really relaxed time to where you're not thinking about it hardly, you know, unless I'm you know, doing drugs or playing video games. When I say do drugs, I might, you know, I was popping painkillers from time to time, and that was about the only time where it was like, all right, I don't really care what women are doing. I'm just gonna enjoy myself. Although that wasn't, even still, that wasn't always true, because I lived with one, and you know, she often wanted attention. The old happy wife, happy life adage, you know, that, man, what a ridiculous phrase. You know, how often do you hear happy husband, happy life? You don't, because clearly, who's more important in a relationship in that case? Whose happiness is more important then? I mean, my God, with that phrase alone, and that's a universal phrase, at least here in the West, happy wife, happy life. Meaning, as long as she's happy, then you can be happy. But if she's not, you can't be. And the other end, it's like, what if you're not happy? Well, she can still be happy. You know, essentially, I mean, the fact that that phrase isn't, you know, on the other end, pretty much that's what's being said. But anyway, that's kind of my story. I don't want to go on too much longer. It's already been 20 minutes, but you know, I had experience with women before the seduction community, but it was little to none. I was frustrated, and I eventually, without having seen any videos or read anything, decided I was going to go my own way. In essence, I said I was going to stop trying to find a relationship that worked, and I just sat still, essentially, for about a week, and then the seduction community came along and totally overtook my life. And I was absolutely dedicated to it for 7 years, to mastering it. And I'm not going to claim that I was. I mean, it's irrelevant. I mean, I felt like I had reached a certain level of competence with it. You know, I felt that I was okay, and you know, most of the women that I dated and got intimate with were all attractive physically. You know, so it's not like you know, I'm a decent looking guy, whatever. Take that for what it's worth. You know, I feel like I have a fun personality. I feel like you know, whatever. You know, I was confident, that type of thing. But man, it's just it's kind of bittersweet. It's peaceful in one, it's very, very peaceful in one regard, because it's like no longer do I have this um, voice in the back of my head or heart saying, you need to go you need to go find a woman. Essentially, you need to be validated, in essence. So I would tell myself that that's not what's going on. But the fact that you're constantly chasing women pretty much means that exactly that. And the seduction community talks about how don't seek validation from women, but the fact that they're all trying to have sex with women essentially, or whatever, have relationships with women, what are you doing there? You know, I'm done trying. I'm done. I'm withdrawing. I'm out. You know, it's just not worth it. It doesn't work. Uh, my God, it's you know, having been so dedicated to the seduction community's concepts and being good with women, quote unquote. You know, and I'm not a wealthy person right now, at least comparatively here in the West. And I thought, well, I must be good with women because I'm, having dates and relationships, and I don't have any money. But as Stardust pointed out, it's you're still a utility. You know, it's not like she loves you for you. It's for what you can do for her. And when you can't do that at the level that you were doing it, or you tire out, or someone else comes along that does it better or does it as well and some more, then she's gone. I mean, it's a constant, and that's how I felt within myself. It's a constant watering of the flowers, so to speak. You know, and that's why I eventually opted out of the marriage, because I was just exhausted. I couldn't do it anymore. She was never pleased for long, uh, never satisfied. So that's my introduction. I have more to say. Thanks for listening.